Let's go. All right, good morning. Good morning. Come on, girl. Let's cross the street. Hope everyone's having a wonderful Thursday morning. Wanted to discuss something that may be confusing to people. And this particular topic has been something. There's one individual who insists that leadership and dominance don't have anything to do with one another. And I've broken this down in a couple of different videos, but it is a subject that I never tire of talking about. And I think it's, when it comes to any skill or understanding anything, repetition is very, very important. So repeating ideas or repeating definitions, going over the same things repeatedly is a good thing, because it helps people understand, helps people connect dots, helps people to remember. And so when you learn anything, being able to repeat the information over and over again really helps internalize it. And when you work with animals, dogs especially, or any skill really in the human world, the jobs, whatever, being a parent, playing a sport, it doesn't matter what it is. There's a lot of things that when you're first learning, it's true, like I train martial arts, it's true for martial arts too. When you're first learning something, it feels awkward. You have to think about it. You have to maybe slow things down. But then the more you repeat it and the more you start to understand the mechanics, you begin to internalize it, and it becomes instinctual. It's like second nature to you. So things like dominance are very much in line with that as well, because we're talking about things that are on an energetic level. Assertiveness is very much an energy. Being calm and assertive is very much, it's an energetic thing, but it's also very much a communication thing. It's how you communicate. When you first meet somebody, say two men are meeting, maybe it's in a professional setting, maybe it's in a social setting. Both are social settings, but when you go to handshake or go to give somebody a handshake, there's a lot of communication there that's taking place, and you learn a lot about the other person based on the kind of handshake they give you. What kind of eye contact do they give you? How do they say hello to you? It's a lot of information you're giving the other person in that first impression. So you could come across as a very weak and passive individual with a simple handshake. And I even have a video on this. It's called How a Simple Handshake Can Explain Why This System of Reward and Punishment that, say, the balance folks promote is superficial, and it doesn't go deep enough. But we all know these things are present. When you shake somebody, maybe We don't verbalize it. But when you go to meet somebody and you shake their hand and you look in their eye, instinctually, you know, right? We know. Nobody likes to shake the hand of a man and it come across as very soft and wimpy and flaccid, right? I don't want to shake a man's hand and him not be able to look me in the eye, right? You would rather communicate in a strong way. And so these things are very much tied to leadership, dominance. Some people would even say that the handshake itself, if you were to put your hand over, say on top of the person's hand that you're shaking, that would be more of a power move. Maybe, I don't know. But I'm just talking about, say, giving a firm handshake versus your hand being very soft or coming across soft, if you know what I mean. So if we look at the definitions of these words, it becomes clear that there is a consistent through line, right? The definition of, now leadership has more of a vague definition, but its synonyms are very important. So the definition of leadership is basically just saying that you're in a position to lead a group, right? You're like the decision maker. But one of the synonyms is authority. Now, the definition of authority is very important because I talk about being an authority figure to your dog. But the definition of authority is someone who's in a position to make decisions and enforce obedience. Now, the definition of dominance is power and influence over others. So, if you are a leader and you are in a position to direct or lead the group, that automatically puts you in a position of dominance. You have power and influence over the group. You are an authority figure, which means you have the ability to make decisions and enforce obedience. All of these things have a through line. They're all connected. You cannot be a leader without understanding dominance. Now, say in the workplace, you can be in a position of authority, but that doesn't mean the people that are under you respect you. Doesn't mean you're a good leader. How many people right now who are watching have a boss who is a shitty boss or is a terrible leader, has no leadership skills? I even got into an argument with one of my previous bosses, and he was so incompetent that I told him he needs to take some fucking classes on leadership or something, read a book, something. Because he didn't know what the fuck he was doing. He had the position, but he didn't have the influence. He didn't have the skill set. Leadership is a skill set. Dominance is a skill in and of itself. The ability to have influence is a skill. So when I talk about, like my previous short I just put out, where the title of it was Obedience Training is a Waste of Time. Because it is. If you want true obedience from your dog, that comes from respect. Well, how do you get that respect? Dominance, power and influence over. It is the relationship dynamic you establish based on how you socially interact with your dog. So in this situation, I did not train Grey Goose to just follow me off leash, no collar, nothing. I didn't train her to do that. This is a relationship thing we've got. And it was the same with my previous two dogs. So you're spinning your wheels if you think you have to constantly do these training sessions day after day after day. It's unnecessary. It's a waste of time, and especially if you're using treats, waste of money. Wouldn't do that either. Now you see how I just snapped my fingers, because Goose was clearly thinking about crossing the street. I snapped my finger. That's all I need to do to let her know I don't want her to do that. That's influence. That is real control. Right? Does the dog want to follow you when it has the freedom to not follow you? That is real influence. Real control comes from not seeking to control everything, but being in control to such a high level that you have control over the situation. I don't need to control because I am in control of this situation and I am in control of her. But not in the sense that it's like trying to be a control freak. It's rooted in influence. I have the ability to influence her, therefore I control what she does and does not do. But it's out of her respect for me. It's how she sees me. The perception of the dog is the most important thing. How does the dog see you? If the dog does not see you as an authority figure, as a leader, it will not respect you. And so that is why you cannot have leadership without dominance. By nature, being the most dominant figure in the group puts you in a position of leadership. You're the strongest of the group. You can't be a real leader without demonstrating certain qualities. Otherwise, what happens? The people under you will argue with you, they'll fight you, they'll resist you, they'll disrespect you, they won't want to follow you. Maybe they'll listen because they have to out of fear of a consequence, or let's say it's work, they don't want to get written up or lose their job, but that doesn't mean they really respect you. That doesn't mean they want to perform for you or listen to you. That doesn't mean they want to do their best. That doesn't mean they actually admire you as a superior and look up to you. And I wouldn't say it, as grown adults, I don't think it's a good idea to really look up to other grown adults. Look up to yourself, right? Admire yourself. But we can take inspiration from people. If you have a boss that's a good leader, it's just sort of a byproduct of being a good leader. You just tend to naturally inspire people. People want to do better for you. It's the strength you project as a good leader. Good leaders have good communication skills. Good leaders stick to their word. Good leaders follow through on the things they say they're going to do. Good leaders have to make hard decisions sometimes. Good leaders will discipline when it's necessary, and they may not even want to do it. But it may be the best thing for the situation. But given that you are the leader making those decisions, enforcing those rules, enforcing the obedience, that puts you in a position of dominance. You have power and influence over. That's why you can't have one without the other. The two are connected. Right? You can try to lead your dog, and if the dog resists you or blows you off or doesn't want to follow you, then that shows you everything you need to know about how much influence you really have over that dog. No, you don't want to go over there, girl. They just paved that. Hey, come here. This way. So if you don't have the ability to influence, then you can't really lead. The power comes from the ability to influence. And all of that is rooted in how you communicate. The energy you project. Your presence. Your consistency. Imagine a leader who didn't have those dominant qualities. Could you really respect a leader who came across as soft, who came across as weak, who didn't stick to their word, who didn't follow through, who couldn't discipline when necessary? You wouldn't. You may listen because you have to, but again, you won't respect that person. It's no different with your dog. Your dog may listen to get that treat or that piece of food or whatever it wants. It doesn't mean the dog respects you. This is why I also recommend just never using treats. Not to say you can never give your dog a treat, but when you're trying to build a relationship with your dog, or you're trying to work through a behavioral problem, do not use food to do it. That is not real influence. Waving a piece of food in front of your dog's face and the dog performing for you to get the food that has nothing to do with real influence. It's similar to how you'll go to work and do what you need to do to get paid. That doesn't mean you respect the job or your boss or the workplace. The two have nothing to do with one another. But if you did respect your boss, you did respect the work, you may work a little harder just because of that respect. And a byproduct of that is maybe you earn more money. Nowadays, probably not, but you get my point. But the point being that these words are all tied together, and they're all like little pieces to a bigger puzzle, and if one of those pieces is missing, you can't finish the puzzle. If you don't have the skill set to exert dominance or be assertive, but also do it in a calm way, balanced way, then you can't be a leader. What's up? Is it Sinove? Mir? How are you? Thanks for joining. Please show who? Who do you want me to show? I mean, that's my dog. That's a girl. That's my dog, Grey Goose. Yeah, that's my dog right there. But that's me. Oh, looks like my camera's a little shit on it. Hold on a second. Camera's got a little shit on it. There we go. Anyway, I like keeping the camera on my dog just because she's really the focus here. Right, Goose? Appreciate you joining. It's nice and warm today where I'm at. Are you in another country? Appreciate you liking. Whoever liked the video, thank you. But again, let's talk about that word authority. Right? Leaders have authority. Whether that leader is granted that authority because of the position they hold, or they have authority because people naturally submit to that person. They'll naturally submit, hopefully out of respect, not out of fear. But again, that word authority means the ability to direct or guide the group, but also you are in a position to enforce obedience. Right? So you can't be a leader if you aren't able to have authority. If your dog does not see you as an authority figure, it won't follow you. You may attempt to enforce obedience, but that doesn't mean the dog will listen. So that will tell you right away, does your dog see you as a leader or not? Do you have power and influence over your dog? Are you the more dominant figure over your dog? Do you have dominance over your dog? How are you, Jessica? Thank you for joining. Appreciate it. So if you attempt to lead your dog and the dog does not follow, the dog fights you, the dog dismisses you, then the dog is essentially showing you what it thinks of you, how it sees you. It's showing you that it does not see you as an authority figure. It does not want to follow you. It does not see you as the leader in that equation. Therefore, you do not have dominance over the dog. This is why I love off-leash. Of course, there's a process to getting there, but especially off-leash live streams, it really demonstrates very clearly when you remove the tools, does the dog want to follow you? It has the freedom to do whatever it wants. Goose could run out in the middle of that fucking road right now. She could avoid me. She could choose to not listen. She could choose to evade me. But she doesn't. So that tells the story. Similarly, if you open your front door and your dog's first instinct is to just run the fuck out of the house and run away, well, that is showing you the nature of the relationship you have built with that dog. Right? So it means some things need to change. Right? Like, I don't have to tell Goose to follow me. She just follows me. But again, this is not I didn't train her to do that. I didn't whip out a treat pouch and give her a treat every time she listened. No, we didn't do any of that. I didn't use learning theory. I didn't use punishment reward. None of that. We have to examine what's happening on a social level. What's happening in the communication between you and your dog. Similarly to, dogs don't necessarily talk to one another with the exception of barking. They don't use language. But there's a lot of communication happening when two dogs interact with each other. Right? That is a social interaction taking place when two dogs interact with each other. But if you notice that your dog is constantly engaging in power struggles with you, or you notice that your dog is making rules for you and trying to enforce those rules upon you, your dog is asserting itself towards you. The dog is essentially dominating you. The dog perceives you as below it within the social hierarchy. That is when you know the power dynamic is not balanced correctly. It's flipped. Now, in order to rebalance it, we do have to engage in power struggles to rebalance it. Right? And that can look different depending on the situation. But that's essentially how we take our power back from the dog. How's it going, Harshita? Appreciate you joining. Thank you. Where are you from? Been getting a lot of people from all over the world lately. It's pretty cool. Appreciate you joining. That's my dog, Gray Goose, if you're new to the channel. We do these live streams all the time. Trying to see, the flag is a little small. No, she's a micro American bulldog. I can't quite see the flag. India, oh, welcome from India. We're in the US, near Chicago, but yesterday I had somebody from Bangladesh. So appreciate you tuning in all the way from India. All right, let's go. Are there a lot of dogs in India? Nice to meet you too, Miss India. I assume I'm saying that correct, right? Harshita? Hey, what's up, Anarchist? Oh, from Australia? Yeah, I've got a few people from Australia. I have had a couple of virtual clients from Australia. How are you, man? I love it when people from all over the world tune in. It's so cool. Yeah, and for those of you that are new to the channel and don't know, I offer virtual coaching. If you have behavioral issues with your dog, you're more than welcome to email me if you need help. But I love doing these live streams because you can't edit it. There's no gimmick. There's no making things look good. It's this is what it is. This is the result, right? You can't hide anything with a live stream. It's anything can happen. Bella, golden retriever. Wow, they have golden retrievers all the way in India. It's interesting. 146. Wow, 146 in the afternoon. Or wait, let's see, 9:19. So that's okay. So it's tomorrow. So it's 146 in the morning. That's wild. Staying up late tonight, huh? What time is it in Australia? Actually, I think I know what time it is in Australia because I've had some clients in Australia. It's probably, let's see, maybe around 5 o'clock in Australia. Shift worker, right? Yeah, my dad did a lot of shift work, so I get it. I get it. No kidding, I didn't know that. But I assume there are probably a lot of street dogs in India too, right? Yeah, I'll show my face. You guys can see what I look like. All right, let's see. Oh, is it really? It's 146? Really? Damn. I guess it's about the same time zone then. That's crazy. I love it. Yeah, it's 10:48 here near Chicago, Illinois. We're in the suburbs. But it's nice and warm over here. I don't know how it is where you guys are at. Oh, I see, anarchist. I got you. Oh, that's great. Yeah, I guess it would be free too. You just take a dog off the street and you're like, all right, that's my dog. Yeah, it's the 18th here. Yeah, it's like traveling in time. It's crazy. Damn, it's spring. That's crazy. We haven't even gotten to winter yet. Yeah, we're about to hit fall. Come on, girl. We're about to hit fall. Come on, let's go. Yeah, I've worked with some pretty cool golden retrievers. Right, southern, exactly. Southern is way different down there, I'm sure. I think the seasons are reversed, aren't they? Her name is Grey Goose. Like the vodka. She's like a shot of doggy vodka, I always say. Because she's so calm. She's like a shot of doggy vodka. But yeah, we do this all the time. On the weekends, I take her downtown off leash. We walk around downtown. There's dogs, people, traffic. It's busy. Sometimes there's police, but she's so well behaved, they don't care. Yeah, I've met some pretty handsome golden retrievers for sure. I'm a bully fan myself. I love the bullies. Yeah, anarchists, that reminds me of, like, people say that down there, that when you flush a toilet, it spins the other way. So I guess it's kind of like how the seasons are reversed, Wait for that car to pass. All right, let's go. Really appreciate everybody joining. I'm getting a lot of new people lately. I think it's so cool. So for those of you that are new, we do things a little different on this channel. I'm not a dog trainer. I resolve behavioral issues, and to me the two are very different. No, she's not tired. She's a bulldog, so she can't breathe that well. So it's just because it's hot. So she tends to get hot quick. Thank you. Yeah, it's great to see you too. Thank you. Appreciate you all joining. Yeah, we're close to home. We're close to home, AFE. But as I was saying, I make the distinction on my channel that training is not the same. You can't train behavioral issues. If you have a behavioral issue, that is a socially related issue. So training to me is, say you train a service dog, or you're training skills in the dog, and the skills have nothing to do with a behavioral issue. Yeah, there's a few new people here. I really appreciate you guys showing up. It's so cool to meet new people, especially from all over the world. But to me, training, like, I don't build skills in dogs, so I don't train dogs. But if I have a behavioral, I work with behavioral issues, and I help owners resolve those issues. So that is a social, we have to address things on a social level. Hey, what's up? What's up, Creed? Appreciate you joining, man. A lot of new people today. I love it. Thanks so much for joining. So for instance, I didn't train Grey Goose to be so well behaved off leash. That wasn't training. That has to do with the relationship dynamic I've established with her. I didn't train her to do this. Yeah, it's definitely something you got to worry about. AFE for sure. Thank you. Oh, she's the best, and she helps me with other dogs if I need her. So if I have a dog that has certain behavioral issues, she'll help me out with them. I have many videos showing what she does. I have many live streams of us off leash in different parts. She's a great dog. Appreciate the compliment though. Thank you. And yeah, we're gonna let her inside so she can. Yeah, there's some water in there for her. She's gonna go get some water and cool off for a minute. So I'll just chat with you guys. Really appreciate everybody joining, especially from where are you at, AFE or Creed? We got someone from India. We got someone from Australia. Where you guys at? England. All right. We got people all over. It's so cool. Yesterday I had somebody from Bangladesh and somebody else from Scotland. I think it's so cool you could just fire up a live stream and there's people. Yeah, I guess it's about 2 o'clock there now, isn't it? 2 o'clock in the morning. It's so crazy too. It's all different times. We're all in different time zones. Really appreciate everybody joining though. Thank you. You guys could be doing anything else right now. You decided to tune into this, so I very much appreciate it. Wow, 5 p.m. in London. Yeah, it's about just 5 minutes to 11 a.m. here near Chicago, Illinois. That's where I'm at. Does everybody here have dogs? I know Harshita said she had a dog. Anybody else got any dogs? And for those of you that are new, there's well, once I post this, it'll be 374 videos on this channel. There's a lot of content, most of it for educational purposes. If you guys are looking for, oh, that sucks, anarchist. Hey, right time. It's sometimes just a matter of doing it at the right time. And sometimes you're working so much you just don't have time for a dog, and dogs do require time. So, oh yeah, see, I'm a bulldog lover too, man. My last dog was a half English, half Beagle. It was 100% attitude, man. My girl was a half Pit, half Whippet, which was such an odd, such an odd combination. Yeah, yeah, the Beagle in him was very stubborn, but I had such a good. There's some videos of them on my channel too. Um, they're passed away now though. They're not here with us anymore. Yeah, anarchist. I've got some videos like whenever you're ready to get one. I have some videos, a couple of them. Someone else was asking for advice, like what would you look for if you were to go to a shelter, or how do you navigate the online space when looking for a dog? Because, and I have a video about this, but a big issue with the shelters is that they'll use really flowery language to hide behavioral issues, or they kind of make them seem cute, and so it can set people up for failure because um, they're basically telling you that the dog is like aggressive or has serious problems, but they make it seem like it's not a big deal. You know what I mean? Australian cat. I've worked with a couple of Australian shepherds. I have one on my channel named Cooper. I have a couple different series with him. And actually, I just did an update with a border collie that I worked with. It was a really awesome success. Posted an update, I think 3 or 4 days ago, about that dog. That dog's doing really, really well. So if any of you have working dogs, yeah, I have some series with border collies and Australian shepherds. To me, the breed is secondary. Everyone puts so much focus on breed. Like if you have behavioral issues, they'll say it's all because the dog is this and the dog. And to me, that's not accurate. If we address things on a social level, all dogs have the same social hardwiring. So we look at breeds secondary. Yeah, yeah, they do have a lot of similarities for sure. Antichrist, or I'm anarchist. Sorry, didn't mean to call you that, anarchist. I didn't mean to call you that, man. Yeah, I'm a bully fan myself, though. I don't, the only other dog I think I would ever consider having would be a Doberman. I love Dobermans, but bullies, yeah, I don't think I'll have anything but bullies. That's my breed. I will have a another one of my most successful clients. She's an older woman with a pit bull named Petunia. I have a couple of videos. Actually, I just did a live stream a couple of weeks ago with her off leash with Gray Goose. If you want to check that out, but she'll be coming to stay here in a couple of weeks because her owner's going out of town. So she'll be on the channel. We'll be doing a lot of live streams and posting some videos of Petunia the pit bull. Yeah, and that I think once you build the right relationship dynamic with any dog, they'll reach that level. Um, like my boy was that way. He was such a great guard dog. But that level of loyalty, like you can't buy that, and it's such an awesome thing when you experience it. You know what I mean? Such a cool thing. Hey, if you got any both your dogs pretty well behaved, you got any issues, or everything going pretty smooth? I had a neighbor. She had three French bulldogs. Actually, she had two of them, but she went out of town and her parents were watching him, and they ended up, the boy ended up getting the girl pregnant, and so gave birth to another one. But the dog's so small, it can't have a litter, so it just had one dog, so that she ended up having three of them. Yeah, I noticed that too with the Australian Shepherd that I worked with. Although, I mean, that dog was, um, he didn't seem to really bond with one owner over the other. What I've come to find is no matter what kind of breed, a dog will see one person in the family as more of an authority figure than another. And sometimes people will perceive a dog who's attached to them, because it can reach an unhealthy level where if a dog is way too attached to that person, it's unhealthy attachment. People will perceive it as, oh, the dog loves me so much, and it's not true. It's an unhealthy attachment where now the dog is possessing you, right? Yeah, I don't know, because and I'd love to see some videos like of some Australian shepherds defending a home. I think that'd be pretty cool. Oh, they're not. They're different. Okay, I'll have to look that up then. I thought they were the same. We see here in America, we don't really have cattle dogs. We just have the shepherds. But I think over where you're at, the cattle dogs, I think are more. That's more of a. Your cattle dogs are probably like our shepherds. But I'll have to look up Australian cattle dog. I'm sure once I see it, I'll not. I've probably seen videos of them. Really appreciate everybody joining. Wherever you're at in the world, whatever time it is, thank you. Even here in America, like German shepherds are popular, although there are a lot of people that have them that I wouldn't recommend having them. Like a German Shepherd's not a breed that I would recommend just anybody have. I got you. Yeah, like I said, I think once I look it up, like I've probably seen dozens of videos of cattle dogs and just didn't know it. But I'll have to say, German Shepherds are one of my least favorite breeds to work with. Um, I'm not a huge fan of them. I worked with some really good ones, but they're definitely not my favorite. And usually the people I work with that have them, uh, it's not usually a good pairing. They're not usually a good match for each other. But I don't know if anybody's here in the channel or watching now. Earlier I was discussing how you cannot have leadership without dominance. The two are connected. If we look at the definitions of these words, dominance is power and influence over others, right? Leadership has more of a vague definition, but it's basically the person who's leading a group or in a position to make decisions for the group. But one of the synonyms is authority. And the definition of authority is the one who makes decisions for the group, but also the one who enforces obedience. So, by nature of being a leader, you are the one in position to enforce obedience and make decisions for the group. But you cannot enforce obedience without being dominant, right? You have to have power and influence over the group. And so you can't be a leader if you are if you come across as more of a weaker individual, if you're a more softer individual, it's just the two do not mix. Yeah, like I said, I've met some really awesome German shepherds, but I've met some I've met some German shepherds, and I was like, yeah, no thanks. But that's going to be true for any breed. You know, there's always a range. You know, and that's why I don't people rest their laurels too much on breed, where they'll say if you get this dog, this is what you can expect, and that's not true, because you can have two dogs who are of the same breed who look exactly the same, and they'll have two completely opposite mentalities. You know, and it's the mentality in the dog that you have to look at. It's just like one of my clients' dogs, Grizzy. Grizzy's on the channel a lot, but he's a chocolate lab, and his owner's got a chocolate lab before him, and that was like the easiest dog they ever had. And then they got Grizzy, and he was a nightmare as a puppy. And so he was the total opposite of their last dog, you know. And I've had a couple clients like that. Definitely, it just depends on what you mean by trainable anarchist. Because like I said, I don't now. If you're talking about building skills, definitely. Um, but anything outside of that is a different story. Both are definitely more. I mean, they're very mentally driven dogs for sure. Appreciate that, anarchist. Really appreciate everybody joining. I'm gonna end this in a minute here. I'm gonna go. I gotta go get Goose something to eat, but I'll stay here and chat for another minute or two. But I had titled the the reason I wanted to discuss this is because there's a particular individual who's always in my comments, and I've had this debate with him ad nauseum. And he insists that dominance and leadership aren't in any way related, and it's just I've done a couple of videos breaking these things down, but it just bears repeating. Because these are important things to understand when you have, especially when you have a stronger dog. Um, it's where things tend to go off the rails is if you have a stronger dog, understanding leadership and how leadership is a skill set, right? It's not just one thing, and how dominance is, the through line to all these things. Understanding all that is very important, and how to connect those dots. You know. How you doing, Shannon? Appreciate you joining. Well, I would say Shannon, because I have a couple of videos on this. Um, so if you go and it, um, I think I did them maybe a month ago, a couple months ago. But somebody else was looking to adopt a dog, and I made a couple of videos giving him advice on like what should you look for when you're navigating the shelters. And I also did a video about, it's called Shelter Speak, and you have to be careful when you look online or even when you go to the shelter, because like the sheets that they have, unfortunately a lot of times shelters will use like flowery language, and they'll humanize the dogs, and they will try to make serious issues sound cute and funny, or like they're not that big of a deal. And so being able to decipher that language is extremely important when you're trying to navigate these sorts of things. So I'd recommend going and watching those two videos for sure. But I wouldn't focus as much on the breed, although it's not that breed isn't important at all. But what's important to focus on is the mentality of the dog. Yeah, I never heard of that book, Anarchist. I think there is some truth to that because I think always the reason I gravitate towards bulldogs is because I always say I'm like a bulldog in human form. I really relate to the bulldogs, you know. Um, but no matter what breed you get, you have to understand leadership. All dogs need leadership, no matter what breed, age, doesn't matter. Um, but of course, you have to factor in like what stage of life are you in? Are you a little bit older? How much time do you have? Um, are you an active person? Are you more laid back? Do you like to relax a little bit more? Or are you always out there doing things? Um, do you want a lower energy dog or do you want a higher energy dog? So these are all things you have to consider when you're thinking about. And always remember, even like if you just want a companion animal, you'll have to always remember that meeting the needs of that dog is crucial. Otherwise, you're going to have problems. So I think a lot of people, I talk about this in my video too, where we create this fantasy in our head of about what having a dog will be like, and then when we get the dog, the reality of that is nothing like what we thought it would be, because we have a tendency to we build these things up in our mind and we make them seem like it's just gonna be peaches and cream and nothing but rainbows and it's just all good. But no matter what dog you get, there's going to be some issues that need to be ironed out. So it's just something you have to expect. But those are the questions I would start with. That's interesting. I'll have to look into that. The Stanley Corn. Never heard of him. But I would say, like, Shannon, if it's your first dog, I wouldn't don't get a pit bull, don't get a German Shepherd, don't get a dog that generally is more difficult. Um, I would get something that would um, match your experience level too. Generally like a lab or a golden retriever, or you could even do like a Shih Tzu or something of that nature. Hey, how are you, Freya? Thanks for joining. Good to see you. But yeah, Shannon, I would start with those two videos, and you're more than welcome. Any questions you have, but just leave them in the comments. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'll have to look into that, Anarchist. It's kind of like, you ever seen those videos where they show like, oh, the person kind of looks like their dog. You ever seen those where they there's kind of like some overlap there. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Rain and touchscreen do not mix for sure. It's nice here today. We're supposed to get a bunch of storms like the whole rest of the week, so at least that's what they say. It's always changing, but it's supposed to storm like 5 days in a row. So, but it's really nice today. But hopefully it's not raining too bad where you can get out there for. Well, I think you had mentioned though you guys get out no matter what weather it is. Which I was the same way. I used to, unless it was like seriously pouring rain or storming. We were always going out, rain, snow, whatever. But if you're still in the room, Shannon, I have a lot of videos on. Like, I have a series called Lessons in Leadership. I'd highly recommend those. Just understanding what leadership is, the skills necessary. Um, but my channel is devoted to social dynamics. Breaking down social dynamics and how do you build the correct relationship dynamic with any dog? Because that's the most important thing. I will, Frey. I will definitely. I'll give her a hug for you. She's about to eat soon too, so I bet it does. Actually, I does. I bet it does rain a lot in Norway, right? Thank you, Shannon. Really appreciate it. I'll give you one tip right now. Just that would be easy to remember. One of the most common issues I see with my clients is people lead with love and affection, and that gets them into trouble. So dogs need boundaries, rules, discipline, structure. That's the most important things you can give any dog, and then affection at the right times. But a lot of times people will give because affection is a form of communication, but it also can be very empowering to a dog. And so a lot of people give affection way too much and at the wrong times, and you end up creating your own demon. And it's one of the most common things I see, and it's a much bigger deal than people think it is. Um, so that's one thing that I would just keep in mind. I also have another series called "The Parallels Between the Rise in Aggressive Behavior in Dogs and Children." So I'm making the connection between why does it that the aggressive behavior in dogs is on the rise, but we're also seeing the same rise in children, and how does that overlap? Where's the connection there? Because there's a lot of overlap there. The dog human dynamic is very similar to like a parent child dynamic, and so applying those same principles will help you out a lot. I can't tell you how many times I've been to a client's house where we're working things through with their dog, and they're seeing it, and it's working, and they're like, "Hey, does this work? Can you train my kids too?" And I always say, "Well, it's the same dynamic, so just apply the same principles that we're applying with your dog to your kids, and you should be all right." Absolutely, anarchist. The relationship is number one. That's the key, and that's why to me, people put all this focus on training and behavior, and it really the foundation of everything is what relationship dynamic have we established, have we built, because that's where everything else stems from, and everything is rooted in respect. So if I build a high level of respect between me and my dog, then the obedience, that's where true obedience comes from. As you had seen earlier, Goose, I could take her off leash anywhere. We don't have any problems, and she listens. But I never trained her to do that. Just because of a high level of respect that we have for each other. But she sees me naturally as the authority figure, and she just naturally follows. But I didn't have to train her to do any of that. But that comes from a relationship that we've built, you know. But yeah, you'll save yourself a lot of time, money, you know, when you focus on that. That's the other thing too, Shannon. Don't go the route of using treats, and like don't waste money on that. It's unnecessary, and you'll create more problems for yourself. Nothing that can be replaced with, you want everything to come from you. Just like you wouldn't want to say bribe your kid to clean their room, say, hey, I'll give you $5 if you clean your room. You would want the child to clean their room out of respect for you. It's the same thing. You want your dog to listen out of respect for you, not because they're going to get a treat. I made a video. It was one of the first videos I made on this channel where I had Grizzy, the Chuckle Lab I was talking about, before his owners hired me. They hired like an all positive person before me, and he made Grizzy worse. Grizzy became more demanding, more aggressive, because once the treats ran out, he got that much more pushy because now he was expecting it, and it's just not the precedent you want to set, especially if you already have behavioral issues. You don't want to go that route of introducing treats and trying to get your dog to do something just for the piece of food. Um, it becomes very superficial. But any questions you have, Shannon, just whatever video you watch, just um, leave a question in the comments. And for anybody who's watching, I know we got a lot of new people. I have several virtual coaching clients already. I do offer virtual coaching. Most of what I do is in-person coaching, like in my area, but I offer virtual coaching anybody who needs it. So if you have an issue with your dog and need help, I do offer virtual coaching as well. I will have memberships on the channel. Soon. I just haven't quite figured out what I'm going to do with them. And actually, if you go to my Facebook, one of the reviews on there was from a virtual client. Um, so I thought that was pretty cool. Being able to help people who live in other countries is really awesome. But going back to the relationship you build, this ties into the title of this live stream, how leadership and dominance are tied together. You can't have one without the other. So those are pieces of the relationship puzzle. If we understand that dogs are social creatures and they operate within a dominance hierarchy, similar to how people do, then we have to structure things in a way that establishes us as the human at the top of that hierarchy, and all the dogs in the equation know that they see you as the authority figure. So the whole point of the hierarchy is to avoid conflict moving forward. It's like when you go to work, the whole point of the hierarchy of the workplace is to cooperate and to get a job done efficiently without problems. If everybody thought they were the boss, then everybody would be fighting and bickering, and nothing would get done. It'd be very inefficient because everybody would have the power or the authority to negate what somebody else said. It would just be nothing but bickering all day long. So the whole point of having that hierarchy is you may not like your boss, you may not want to do what you're told, but it's like, well, we're trying to get a job done, and this is the way things are ordered. To me, that's real cooperation. People seem to they believe that cooperation is like this 50-50 thing, and to me it's a fairy tale. Real cooperation comes from everybody understanding their role. Where do we fit into this group, and everybody playing that role, but there's a hierarchy to it. So we cooperate understanding our role and where we fit into this group, knowing who runs the group, who's in charge. And if things get out of hand, that person will discipline the group. But that's all to keep things moving forward, functioning in a cooperative way. Now, actually, I was thinking about you. Thank me later when I titled this, because you still don't understand. I've already gone over this. You're joining a bit late. You cannot have dominance without leadership. I've gone over the definitions of these words and tied them together ad nauseum, but yet you still insist that you just don't. I think you don't want to understand it. As I said earlier, the definition of leadership is the one who's leading the group, directing the group, but a synonym is authority. What is the definition of authority? Yes, but again, thank me later. You can't be in a position of leadership without being the dominant figure, without dominance. Nobody would listen to you. If you do not have power and influence over the group, nobody would listen to you. No, you can't lead people who don't want to listen to you. That's my point. Anarchists, you might not agree with dominance, but dominance makes all the difference. And as I said, cooperation is not this 50, like you and your dog are not equal. We're not equal partners. It's not a partnership. So that puts me in a position of authority over my dog. I have the more dominant position. That doesn't mean people misinterpret dominance for being abusive or mean or heavy-handed. It's not what I'm saying. We don't do that here. Doesn't mean there's times you're not firm, assertive, sure. No, I didn't say it did, but dominant, as I said, the definition is power and influence over, right? How you get that power and influence is the way you communicate. You being the one that creates and enforces the rules and boundaries and applies the discipline by nature puts you in a position of authority. That makes you the dominant figure. If you see two dogs having, absolutely, Viking, definitely. If you see two dogs having an interaction with one another, the more dominant dog will be the one disciplining the other one. So within a group of dogs, they're going to form some kind of pecking order. There will be a hierarchy. This is just how nature works. Mother Nature it is all based in hierarchy. It is all based in discipline. Like dogs don't run around praising each other. They tell each other what they don't like, and then they move on. But that's how they cooperate. They cooperate because they gain that understanding of, okay, that dog is the stronger of the two of us. I'm just going to listen to that dog because I don't want the fight. But similarly to how you go to work and you cooperate with your boss, right? Your boss tells you what to do or what not to do. Doesn't necessarily mean you respect that person. But let's say you had a great boss and you did respect that person. That person's telling you what to do, what not to do, and enforcing the rules. So that person has dominance over you. The person has authority over you. That's how we cooperating playing those roles. This is how we eliminate conflict. That's what I'm getting at. It's the same dynamic with you and your dog, right? You're each playing a role, but it should be a smooth cooperative effort. But this is how if it were a 50-50 thing, then there would be friction all the time. You'd be butting heads all the time. And that's not cooperation. That's a constant power struggle, right? Your explanations are, you always tend to, you go in these 50,000 different directions. Thank me later. I've made this as simple as I can. How could you possibly be a leader without having dominance over that person? In the context of you and your dog, you telling your dog what to do and what not to do automatically makes you the dominant one between the two. Now, whether your dog listens to you, if your dog doesn't listen to you, then the dog is showing you that you don't have the dominance over the dog like you think you might. But when the dog listens to you and respects what you say, you have dominance over that. You cannot lead effectively without dominance, without power and influence over. Again, you're more than welcome to start your own channel and show me videos of how you would do this, but and I've invited you 15,000 times to come have a debate and you won't do it. So, you can argue all you want, and I've given you every opportunity to come have this discussion and you won't do it. Yeah, that person may know the directions, but that doesn't make him the most dominant person in the group. Again, I was talking about the context of you and your dog. If you get lost in the woods with your dog, is your dog going to lead you out? I would hope your dog's not the one leading you out. Sure, but that is a very contextual thing you're talking about. I'm talking about on a day-to-day basis, the relationship dynamic. Like you're not taking orders from your dog, or maybe you are. I don't know. If you take orders from your dog, then your dog is dominant over you. If your dog is disciplining you, your dog is dominant over you. If your dog is the one making all the decisions, your dog is dominant over you. Right, Shannon? Yeah, absolutely, anarchist. I totally agree. Yeah, and that's why I call dominance the dirty word of the dog world because a lot of people, it's become dirty because you have a lot of bad actors out there who do really harmful things and call it dominance, and it's unfortunate because that's not what it is, right? But I agree, it can be very low key and non-damage. It can be very subtle too. Dominance can be a very subtle thing. It's just a matter of who has more power in that situation. It's like a good example is, say when you were a kid and you were acting up and your dad just gave you a look and you're like, all right, I'll stop. That's dominance right there. Your dad didn't have to do anything. He just gave you a look. But you know what that look means. And you're like, all right, I better shut the fuck up. That's a good example of like low key, very subtle, non-damaging dominance. It's like don't make me come over there. Thanks, Viking. Think Me Later just likes to, he likes to overcomplicate things and he likes to argue about things that are irrelevant. No, I'm not changing the terms of the discussion. I'm saying in the context of you and your dog on a day-to-day basis, are you taking orders from your dog? When have I personally attacked you? I'm stating the obvious. Anyone can go into my comment section and see what it is you do. And in the first place, you're the one that said I refuse to engage in personal attacks, and then the next comment you decided to personally attack me. So I don't want to hear it. Right, Shannon? I know it's hilarious. Yeah, no, I agree, Anarchist. It should be healthy and positive. You know, I agree, Viking. I agree. And I'm not a Charlie Kirk supporter, but I agree with that. That's funny. You would thank me later. You would say that's all I know. Personal attacks is all I have. That's all right. Yeah, okay. There were even other people in the comments that were saying the same thing to you. I was watching you argue with somebody else, and they were like, "Dude, you just love to argue, don't you? You're arguing about nothing. It's water's wet, man. I'm sorry. It's the truth." But again, you're the expert, so go start a channel and prove me wrong. You know, right? But yeah, for everybody watching, I've invited Thank Me Later. I've invited him more than once to come have a debate, and he won't do it. How did I make it personal? No, saying that someone may know the way out of the woods, may be able to show the group out of the woods, doesn't make them the more dominant person. It just means they know the way out of the woods. That doesn't mean everyone in the group respects them as a leader. It just means, hey, I want to get the fuck out of the woods. You can show me the way, great. But the second we're out of the woods, that doesn't change the dynamic between everybody. What's up, Ravito? From Italia, all right, Italy. You're the first person from Italy. That's so great. Like, I'm sure you have a job. Thank me later. Are you trying to tell me that you and your boss change roles? Like sometimes you boss your boss? No, it doesn't fucking work like that. You may be able to suggest a good idea to your boss, and your boss may listen, but that doesn't put you in a position of leadership over your boss, man. Oh, I don't know. You said low-call anarchist. I don't know. His take is just to argue over any little thing. He just wants to argue for the sake of arguing. That's what he does. And again, how does that apply to you and your dog? Is your dog leading you temporarily? Are you taking orders from your dog? Is your dog making suggestions to you that you're following? That's what I'm trying to get at here. But you won't tie it into that. No, you can't lead your boss. If you lead your boss temporarily, then he's a weak motherfucking boss. I'm sorry. Come on now. See, this is what I'm saying. You can't. It's all I have. Okay, sure, sure. Oh, an anarchist. My name's Kevin. I wasn't sure if you were talking to another person named Mike. Yeah, no, and I think I've concluded at this point that he's a troll. But you know, it's easy to get him riled up. So I've told him, hey, go make your own videos. Show me how it's done. Prove me wrong. But he won't do it. There's nothing on his channel. Come have a debate. He won't do it. Awesome, Shannon. I've never had a boss like a boss around either. And again, it's not to say that your boss is like you may not even respect. Maybe your boss is a shitty boss because we've all had that. What's up, Greg? Hey, my brother's name's Greg. Awesome. But at the end of the day, it's like you have to do what they say, or you get written up, you lose your job. There's a consequence for not listening, right? But my point being that again, we go back to the definitions. No shit, get out of here, anarchist. Is your brother's name really Kevin? You didn't show anybody to be wrong. Again, tie it back to you and a dog. Thank me later. Did you report my video? I find it very curious that now I'm getting a warning saying my channel's been flagged, and you show up. Hold on a second.